This is a delicious smoked salmon party dip that I prepped for lunches. Pay attention to this whole video because I'm going to show you how to enter a recipe in MyFitnessPal correctly. And then whenever you batch make a recipe like this, how you divide it out into equal servings. So we're going to start with the lowest fat smoked salmon that we can find. Make sure you compare brands. Try to find the one with the least amount of fat. Now it's going to come down to budget because if you want higher protein, less fat, it is going to be a little bit more expensive. I found this brand called Duck Trap. I bought 2 packages of it. This whole thing is going to make 5 servings. So since it's smoked, it's technically already cooked and ready to eat. This is going to be really easy because we're going to be putting all these ingredients into the blender. Place your 2 packages of smoked salmon in there. Then I did 2 small containers of the Siggi's plain Greek yogurt to add a little bit more protein and to help with the fat content. Each container is about 150 grams. Again, I used 2 of them. You have your own equivalent, different brand or way that you want to do it. Just make sure you measure it out. Now you're going to use a low-fat cream cheese spread of your choice. The brand I'm using here is called Good Culture. It's going to add some creaminess to the dish, but I didn't add a lot because I wanted to try to keep the fat content low. So I went ahead and did 5 tablespoons. It comes out to be about 1 tablespoon per serving. Make sure you get your tablespoon measure out off the axis to ensure an equal, even measurement. Add that to your blender. Next, you're going to add 1 small container of diced red onion. A lot of stores sell these already diced. I believe this container was about 4 ounces, and I love red onion, so I added the whole thing in there. If you didn't want to do it that way, you can obviously chop about a half or maybe a whole small red onion yourself. Getting it already chopped is going to save you a lot of time. Next is some fresh dill. Don't skip out on the fresh ingredients. This makes a huge difference in how it tastes. So I added a few sprigs of this. That's going to come out to be maybe about 2 to 4 tablespoons. I will say that dill is one of those herbs that's easy to overdo, so if you're not familiar with it, be a little bit on the conservative side. All right, now that you have all your ingredients in the blender, you're ready to pulse it. It's very important here that you don't over blend. You don't want to make a soup. You're making a dip. So only blend about 10 to 15 seconds at a time. Open the lid and stir the ingredients around so that they get blended more easily. You're going to repeat this process about 4 to 5 times until you see that all the ingredients are evenly blended, but not overly blended. So it should have a nice thick texture. Next, how to make the recipe in MyFitnessPal. Where it says My Meals, Recipes, and Foods. Then click the bottom, Create a Recipe. Then click Enter the Ingredients Manually. It'll bring you to the next page where you're going to put the title of your recipe and how many servings. Just understand that you can go back and edit the recipe. Because let's say, for example, you put that it makes 5 servings, and then after you enter all the ingredients, you don't like the way the macros look. You can decide before you make the recipe how many servings it's going to have and edit it so that each serving fits your macros. And keep watching. I'm going to show you how I even the recipe out when we get done. So after you hit the arrow, it's going to take you to this next screen where you add each ingredient one by one. This is where having the barcode scanner on the premium option is great. You don't have to do premium. You can always type it in. So I scanned my 2 packages of salmon. Bam, it's already in the database. Make sure you edit the number of servings. As you can see here, it has it already logged as 1 serving of 2 ounces. Each bag is 8 ounces. And I used 2 bags. So technically it's going to be 16 total ounces of this. Next is the 2 small containers of the plain Greek yogurt that I used. Making sure that's accurate as well. And then don't forget the cream cheese. I used 5 tablespoons in this whole recipe. One thing to note here is you can a lot of times change the serving size. So to make it easier, look how I changed the serving size to 1 tablespoon, then the number of servings to 5 to make it accurate. Look there at the bottom, building out the number of calories and protein, carbs, fats in a serving. You can decide if that's going to fit your macros or your goal for the recipe. Last thing, don't forget those red onions. They do have calories in them. Not much, but it still counts. I went ahead and scanned the dill just in case it had calories in it, but it told me there was no match. So when I logged it, it said 0 calories. As you can see, look how we get to this screen and we see the calorie and macronutrient breakdown. Just the dip alone, not the crackers yet. With that macro breakdown. Bam, your recipe is saved. Now, how do we ensure each one of our serving sizes is equal? So how you're going to do this is you're going to get an empty bowl or container, put that on your food scale and zero it out. Then what you want to do is ensure put the entire recipe into that container while it's zeroed out so you get the weight of the total recipe. Very important here, you want to get all those nutrients, right? So you got to scrape the sides of the dish, the sides of the container, make sure you get every possible last drop you can into that container. Now, let's take a look what we have. The total weight of this recipe is 966 grams. So now it's simple. We take our calculator, we put in 966, and we divide by 5 because we've already decided ahead of time that this was going to make 5 servings. And there's your number. That's 193 grams are going to go in each serving of this. So now you take that container off the scale, the meal prep container on the scale, and then of course zero it out. Now you just pull from your bat until you get 193 grams, and then bam, you are done. And then you do that for however many servings that you made it for. Doing it this way really doesn't take long, and it ensures that every serving is equal and as accurate as possible. Food tracking, super easy. All right, now we're gonna add our crackers so we have something to dip it with. I use these Back to Nature crackers. You can use any brand that you want, really. Just make sure you're measuring it out. Don't wing it. Count out the crackers. I did 15 crackers for this recipe. If you needed less carbs, you could do 10 crackers. If you can allot more carbs in your overall goal, then add more. Just make sure you're tracking these things. things. Part is optional capers. You have to do these, but it just adds that nice little touch to your dish. I used 1 teaspoon sprinkled over the top. And then of course this last clip is just me making sure I'm tracking everything, logging everything. You can scan the barcodes, you can type it in. Hold yourself accountable for the food that you eat. I hope you guys enjoy this one.